I think we have a quorum, 60 people. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Monday evening, so welcome to another navigation trip planning related webinar from the CMC Quick Start Seminar Series. My name is Mike Tischer, and I'm the organizer. And I want to thank Robbie Monsma and Maddie Miller, as always, for helping me doing this. Before we start with Jim and Gaia, I just want to remind everyone that next week we have another one of these. This one will be about AllTrails, and it will be, the speaker will be Jeff Stevens. So tune in next week at the same time if you want to. With that, I want to hand it over to Jim, who's going to talk about Gaia, another popular app with hikers. And if you have any question during the talk, please feel free to use the chat box that comes with Zoom and put your questions in there. And I think Jim will leave some time at the end of the talk to answer those. Hopefully you enjoy it. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jim. Thank you very much.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I just unmuted. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into this. Lots to cover, and I'm hoping there'll be a lot of interesting questions. And of course, given the date, I have to say, may the 4th be with you. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about, the last several weeks there have been talks about GPS. What is it? Some of the handheld devices. Jeff Benton gave a really good talk last week about using CalTopo, which is a great tool for looking at planning and whatnot. Tonight I'm going to talk about Gaia GPS as a planning and navigation aid while you're actually out on a hike. Okay, the overview of what we're going to do, we're going to talk a little bit about basic skills, map and compass skills, hopefully you already have. And then why are we going to talk about a navigation app versus just relying on map and compass? Gaia versus AllTrails, a comparison. Those are the two most popular navigation apps, kind of by far. And an overview of Gaia GPS. And then the various steps that I go through when I'm going to use Gaia on a hike. Before the hike, planning. During the hike. And then after the hike, and doing a post-mortem. So what to do and when. And then we'll go through a step-by-step. I have several slides that go through the step-by-step details on how to do that. I don't expect to go through every little step tonight. It's more to show you that you can do this. The things that we can do on the website, I will show you rather than go through the slide on that. And then we're going to have some real-life examples. How you can use Gaia to answer some questions that come up while you're hiking. And then some closing thoughts on this and going out with this kind of a tool. Okay, first of all, for those of us who've been around the CMC a while or who've been hiking a while, everybody knows that map and compass skills are key to navigation. It's one of the 10 essentials in the CMC documentation. It seems to show up as number 1. If you've taken wilderness trekking school, we spent a lot of time there on map and compass because the ability to use map and compass is one of the principal keys to safe and enjoyable travel. Among the skills that hopefully you have and that we do teach in wilderness trekking school, and there are some other, I believe, courses in the CMC as well on this, orientation, which, okay, you have a map and compass. How do you find where you are on that map? Navigation, finding, okay, where is my objective relative to where I am, and also making sure I'm on the right course all the way from the trailhead to my destination. A little bit on route finding will be more in the planning phase. So again, hopefully you already understand how to use a map and compass, because basically a navigation app is just putting that on your phone display. Okay, going back, whole point of a map and compass is finding your exact position on the map. Well, you rely on landmarks and whatnot to find where you are on a map. A lot of times you might have reduced visibility, like in some of the scenarios in this picture. You know, if you're trying to get an early start, you might be in snow, might be in the clouds or fog, or just in trees where you really can't see much in the way of landmarks. So reduced visibility, which is not unusual on a hike, can make it difficult to find your location and route on a map. Okay, navigation apps for hikers. You still need basic map and compass skills. Like I said a minute ago, you know, what the navigation apps do is they put the map and compass on your phone. So you still need to know how to have basic map and compass skills. Navigation apps on your phone, they use the GPS on your phone, so you really don't need Wi-Fi, which we'll talk about. You know, you can go into airplane mode. What navigation apps really help you with is a pinpoint where you are on a map. Then, along with a compass, it can be the compass handheld or it can be the compass on the phone, and a route, which we're going to talk a lot about, on your app's map, tell you where you want to go. So again, the navigation app can really help you find out where you are right now and where do I want to go. And then plus another real key or advantage of having a navigation app is that you can record your hike. And this is what we call a track to display on the map where you've been. So again, when we want to know where we are, where we're going, that's the route, and we want to have a good breadcrumb trail of where we've been, that's the track. So with the navigation app, by comparing your track and your current location with your intended route, you can kind of see, you know, where you want to go with a little more confidence. And plus, a lot of us like to know statistics. So these apps are really good at calculating statistics from your hikes, such as distance I've traveled so far, elevation gain, moving speed, average speed, so on and so forth. Of course, with a lot of things, there's a downside, and with navigation apps, the downside is tracking as well as just using the apps does reduce, it uses your battery. So it does reduce the phone's battery life. So battery management is pretty important, and we have a whole slide on that. And again, one of the keys to that is navigation apps work because they use the phone's GPS. You can put your phone in airplane mode, and that's one of the best things for battery management. Again, I've been using these apps for quite a while, and there are some situations that most of us around here might be in where the apps are particularly useful. And I've kind of got them on some of the Google Earth screen prints here. For instance, hiking off or on trail, but above timberline. You know, you might be out on a boulder field and the cairns are hard to come by. You know, heading up or heading to the right couloir I'm looking for. Am I going the correct direction on the boulder field that I'm crossing right now? Because again, cairns can be hard to find. What if I'm on a summit? Like this is a Google Earth view of Mount Elbert. When you're up there, there's 4 different ridges you can follow down. So finding your way off the summit, you know, navigation apps are really good at helping you to be confident that you're following the right ridge down. And then plus at some point you're going to leave the ridge, probably. So are you leaving the ridge in the right place? Off trail, but limited visibility, like in the trees. Like in this case, we have an example on that. But for instance, did I leave the trail in the right place? Am I going the right way through these trees? I really don't have a good view of my landmarks. Then over in the bottom right, there's a lot, right in the foothills, there are a lot of places where we have lots and lots of trails and lots of trail junctions. And for instance, in this view, which is looking west from Roxborough, there's a whole bunch of trails back there, a lot of interconnecting trails. So if you've got a route planned where there's a lot of trails and trail junctions, you know, okay, well, did I make the correct turn at the last trail junction? And then where is the next trail junction and which way do I turn there? So again, these are some examples of how a navigation app might be particularly useful. And here's a good, in the middle, I've got a screen print of Gaia from a hike. In this case, this was above timberline. And so you can kind of see where it really helps. Okay, the little arrow here, that's your current location, plus the direction of the arrow tells you which way you're headed. The red line in this case is my route. That's where I'm wanting to go. And then the blue, in this case, is a breadcrumb trail. I'm going down, so I've got two different blue lines, one from going up and then where I'm coming down. So you can kind of at a glance see, okay, my arrow is on my intended route, so that's good. And then plus on the way up and on the way down, our breadcrumb trail in blue pretty much was along the line of where we wanted to be. In other words, the blue, the track, our breadcrumb trail, was pretty much following the intended route. So again, the beauty of an app, of a navigation app like Gaia, is it shows you your current location, this arrow, plus it tells you where you are versus where you want to be. You know, am I on my route or not? And am I going the right direction on my route? And so, yeah, so at a glance, I can see I'm good on this particular example. No, Google Earth's not a map layer. Okay, when you do a search on the web, you'll typically come in navigation apps. The two most popular ones, almost by far, by the more casual users, are Gaia GPS and AllTrails. And here's a table where I've taken a lot of the features that you would use either in planning the hike and getting ready for a hike, before the hike, during the hike, the features you would use or might want to use, and then after the hike. And what I've done is I've said, okay, are they available in Gaia? Are they available in AllTrails? Some comments, and if there's an advantage one way or the other. I've used both of these quite a bit. And so you can kind of see that, on the before, like maps, we're going to talk about that, but at maps, both Gaia and AllTrails, they have a free version, and then they have a lot more capability if you have a paid membership. And a lot of what the paid membership gives you is the additional maps and the ability to download and work with, it's mostly the maps. And you can see that, let's see, like Gaia has 250 plus maps that if you have a paid membership. During the hike, they're both really easy at recording tracks and, comparing with your intended route. I mean, again, these two tools are very popular and for good reason. Main map display, if you can see on the screen, I've got Gaia and AllTrails, and they're both pretty comparable. I think there's a little bit more map area on your screen on the Gaia, but again, they're both pretty good. AllTrails has a feature that I kind of like. It's called off-track notifications. If you're 50 meters off of following a loaded route, you have to actually manually load it. It'll send you a notification. Whereas Gaia has a capability where you can use it. It'll guide you to a waypoint or along or to a route. So they both have some nice features. After the track, it's easy to edit in both. It's easy to review statistics. Again, the bottom line, like I say down below, both apps are really good and popular for good reason. They're particularly useful at recording and monitoring while you're out hiking, creating routes and waypoints before the hike, creating routes and waypoints before or during the hike. Both are really good for printing maps, especially if you have one of the paid memberships. Gaia, I find to have more map flexibility. There's a whole lot more maps available. It calculates more statistics. It's a little bit more intuitive and user-friendly in my view. And it's really easy importing and exporting and managing tracks. I'll show you that. As those, you may remember the term from grade school, plays well with others. What's good about that? I do like the use of waypoints and Guide Me as a feature. And then Jeff's going to talk more next week about AllTrails. But AllTrails has frankly, a better Trails database and really good trip reports too. Another option, if you're more casual and just plan to want to use active official Colorado Trails, CoTrex, Colorado Trails Explorer is really good, and that's the screen I've got in the bottom right. If you're going to primarily be using local official trails, it's managed by Colorado Parks and Wildlife. And right now, during the whole COVID, there's a number of trails that are locked or closed, And Cotrex has, in fact, you can see on the screen on Cotrex, a couple of them are marked in red, and that's indicating those are closed right now. And then David Litke, 2 weeks ago, put together a really comprehensive spreadsheet comparing all the apps, more than just these two, and here's a link to that. But again, they're both really good. But we're going to talk about using Gaia in the remainder of this presentation. And I'll talk about importing tracks versus and routes in a little bit. Okay, membership options. Like I said, there's a free the app is free when you get it off of the Google Play or iTunes or the App Store. With a free download, you can do a fair bit of what you want to do: route planning, marking waypoints, recording your track, using the Jeep, taking pictures. But you are limited on maps. You're going to be limited to the Gaia topo. I'll show you that in a minute. And you cannot download maps to use when offline or out of service. Where that comes in handy is if you're in airplane mode, you may find that you're going to have fairly low resolution topo maps on your screen. So that the inability to download maps can be a problem. Okay, there are two levels of membership in Gaia. There's membership and then there's premium. Nominally, membership's about $20. You can get a little discount, as you see here, if you buy it through Gaia GPS. It gives you a collection of 50 maps. Basically, it's like the Forest Service maps and topo maps. And you can download maps for offline use, and you can print from Gaia. You can't print from the free version. So you've got, you have at least the topo maps available or the Forest Service maps available, and you can download maps. That's what you get for the $20-ish. The premium memberships, nominally $40. You've got 250 maps. So that's all the Nat Geo maps, Trails Illustrated. There's a whole lot more, and I'm going to show you some of those in a little bit. And you can use and download layered maps. And there's, like I say, a full list, but you're going to see some of that on future screens here. So again, free. The app is free, and then you can do a fair bit, certainly tracking with the free version. $20 and $40 buy you some maps and download capability and so forth. And what you're going to see on these on my slides is almost every slide is going to have a link to more information on the topic, like at the bottom here. Okay, I think there's already a question about tracks versus routes. And you're going to hear people talk about, okay, I've got a track or I've got a route. What's the difference? Well, in navigation apps, okay, you'll find them filed into two categories. Okay, routes are predefined trails and created manually in software, such as what you saw Jeff Benton demonstrate last week on CalTopo, and what I'm going to demonstrate here on Gaia in just a few minutes. So again, you're going to create them before you go on your hike. Tracks are breadcrumb trails, and they're made of GPS points recorded while physically following a trail. If you get a track from somebody else, what you're doing is actually following their breadcrumb trail from when they did that hike. Whereas route is basically something that somebody draws on a tool like CalTopo or Gaia. And you can use a track or a route in the app similarly. They're usually both GPX formatted files. We're going to talk about the definition and battery. We're going to talk about battery management. Okay, the difference on whether you want you can use a track or a route on your hike as a route. What I mean by a route on your hike is where a route you're intending to follow. Again, it can be something you drew, or it can be somebody else's breadcrumb trail. So again, I can use either a track or a route from somebody else, or from when you may have done that hike earlier, or a route you drew. Oops. You can use that on your hike as a route because they're all GPX formatted files. One of what you're going to notice is that routes can be edited to add or remove waypoints, location points, things like that, whereas tracks can be trimmed at the beginning, and we're going to show how to do that as well. So how do you know whether you want to use a route or a track? This is from Garmin, but it was the best explanation. Routes, again, because you're drawing them, on a computer screen, routes are best suited for reaching a destination when the exact path being taken, like to within 50 feet or 20 feet, is not important. Like what you see on the screen here, the red, that's a route I drew on Gaia. And it's lower resolution, but I was following it because I was wanting to find this particular couloir, and then down in the bottom right, making sure I was going across a boulder field in the right direction, because again, there weren't a lot of cairns to follow. Tracks are best suited, again, a breadcrumb trail. It's best suited when you really want to follow a specific path to your destination. And so what I find as the best practice in using Gaia is, and this is going to come up over and over again, to have a route, something you may have drawn in Gaia or CalTopo, or a previously created track, breadcrumb trail, preload it before your hike to follow as your intended route on your hike. We're going to go through how to do that. And then when you get out to the trailhead and start your hike, record a track while hiking, so you'll have a breadcrumb trail on where you've been. So again, from here on, I'm going to really talk about a route as where I'm intending to go, like the red line on this screen print, and then a track is a breadcrumb trail, like the blue, more squiggly lines that you see on the screen print from Gaia over here on the right. And I think, David, as you well know, I think Mike's going to make the PDF of this available in the video. Okay, the main map display on Gaia. There's a lot. This is the key. This is Grand Central Station when using Gaia. Lots of information, lots of flexibility here, and surprisingly large area of your screen is actually the map and the information, the route and the track. Along the top of your map display on your app, the 5 buttons up there, they have different functions. Okay, search, that's pretty clear. Number 2 is you can magnify to use the full screen, although map is already using a pretty large portion of the screen. Number 3, that's basically crosshairs. You tap it, it'll center your location on the map. We'll go through that. 4, create. If I want to create a waypoint, I want to download a map, I want to record a track, that's one way to get to it. 5 is layers. I want to change the maps that are being displayed or some overlays. Okay, then this next band here, this is, some information about our hike so far. Okay, up here on the up in the upper left, this is the stop recording toggle. Again, we're going to go through each of this in more detail in a little bit. If you're not recording a track, it'll say record. If you are actively recording a track, it's going to display a timer. Like in this screen print, this was 31 minutes and 39 seconds after I started recording at the trailhead. Then you can this is obvious, it's a camera, you can take a picture by tapping on that. In this case, I've got the elevation top center on my screen and my moving speed. If I want to change what's displayed here, you can tap that and change them. Okay, down here, this is the compass bearing of the phone. Like if you move your phone around, that's going to display the direction you're pointing. The default is true north. If the map is not oriented to where, the traditional map orientation where north is up, this being on your phone, you can zoom and scroll like almost anything else on your phone. So like if I start with my fingers, start to rotate the map to where north is no longer straight up, I'm going to have this little compass, this little thing up here show up to tell me, okay, north is no longer straight up, and it's going to show you where true north is. It's almost straight up in this particular screen print, but it's not exact. If I want to go back to my map display where true north is up, I just tap on that and it reorients the map. The current location, again, this arrow, what I like about on Gaia is not only does it tell you where you are, but it tells you the direction of the arrow tells you your current general direction of travel, according to the GPS, if you're moving. If you stop, then and you just turn to look, hey, do I need to go over here? Or hey, that's interesting over there. It'll actually rotate to show the direction you're facing, the phone is facing. But if you're moving, again, if you're moving, it'll basically tell you, the arrow will tell you your general direction of travel. Okay, an overview of Gaia. Okay, there's an app, and then there's the website. And with Gaia, you want to log in, create an account, even with the free version. Sign in on your app and then sign in on your website so that you can take full advantage even of the free version. Map. Okay. No, if you just open up the map, it'll tell you where you are, even if you're not recording or anything. Like if I'm sitting in my living room and I open up the map, it'll show up as I'm in my living room. Okay, so we've got our website and we've got the app. If you're logged in on both, there's going to be some synchronization between the two. Backup data from your app to your website and synchronize anything you may have created on the website with your app. What I've done is what's in bold is how I typically use this. Like you can import GPX tracker route files via email directly into the app. I tend to find I do all that from the comfort of my home, and I'll typically bring in a GPX file, which is a route or track. I might bring it in from CalTopo, from AllTrails, from CMC Tracks database at Jeff Stevens. We'll probably put a plugin for it next week, 14ers.com, so on and so forth. But I'll typically import and upload a GPX file directly into the website. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then after the hike, when I get back home, I will download the GPX file if I want to look at that in CalTopo, send it to Jeff Stevens for the tracks database, send it to people who may have been on a hike who wanted the track file for their records. If I want to look at what we did in Google Earth, and I'm going to show you this, then I would download a KML file. Again, we're going to go through that. You can also, from the app, export GPX or KML files. Like let's say you're done with the hike, you're at the trailhead, and somebody from the hike says, "Hey, can you send me that track?" Well, if you've got cell phone coverage, you've taken your phone off of airplane mode. Well, yeah, I'll just do it now before I forget. And you can do that from the app directly. Again, we're going to show you how to do that as well. Okay, map options. Again, this is one of the real strong points of Gaia. It's like 250 plus if you have the premium membership level. Okay, the map over on the far left, that's the default. That's the free version. That's, for instance, over at Mount Elbert. So that's the default. But some of the more useful maps that I'm finding, like, okay, the old Trails Illustrated maps, which are now Nat Geo. Okay, here's that map. If I want to use that instead, again, over at Mount Elbert to show you what it looks like for a common location. If you were listening in on Jeff Benton's talk last week, CalTopo, the same U.S. Forest Service 2016 map that we seem to use a lot in CalTopo, that's an option on your Gaia map display as well. And you can do combinations. You can do, for instance, the USGS topo, and then the satellite view. Like here, when you're going up Mount Elbert, this tells you, okay, there's a place where you come out of the trees right here. Or this time of year, and certainly earlier in the year. Another combination that's particularly useful is the slope angle shading along with, for instance, the Forest Service map or Nat Geo or any of the others. But the slope angle shading, gives you a real indication on what are the avalanche risks. So again, that's nice to have that kind of combination. And how do you do that? Again, this is assuming you've got a paid membership level. So some of these map options are available to you. If I want to change what's on my map display, I tap on the layers button or icon in the upper right, and that brings me to this screen here. For instance, I can overlay or do combinations by using these little slides, moving them back and forth to get various combinations of them. If I want to make it inactive, if I don't really know, if I know I'm not going to use it for right now, I tap on the X. That moves it down to, if you scroll down below, there's a listing of the inactive maps that I've loaded. Like, or if I've got one down there, like this USGS topo, if I want to use it, or if I and it's in the inactive section, I can tap on that, and that'll move it up here, and then I can adjust the slides to see whatever combination of these maps that I want. If there's another map overlay or something that's not here, I tap on Add Map Layers, and then it brings you to this screen over here in the far right. We're going to see more on that in the next slide. But again, this is one of Gaia's real strengths, is the map and overlay options that you have. Okay, I'm going to show you more of the options here. Okay, again, here from the app, the main map display, if you tap on the layers icon, it brings you down to the map sources screen. You can click on, like we just did on the last one. If I want to look at some overlays, like put a grid on my map display, I can click on Map Overlay, and it's going to bring me up to this Map Overlay screen. And right now you can see, at least over here, I have no grid overlays at all. So if I tap on Grid Overlay, it brings me over here, and I can pick, for instance, latitude and longitude. I can pick UTM. I can pick distance. Like in this case, if I click on that, like in this case, it puts a grid on my map display, and down here it says each square is a ½ mile across. If I want to look at more map options, I again tap on Add Map Layers. It brings me to the map source categories. Okay, like in the US, these are some of the options that are available. Okay, this first bunch are with paid membership, the $20-ish one. And then down here, these are some of the ones that are available with the premium, like all the Nat Geo maps. You can see they've got specific ones for even Colorado 14ers, the Colorado Trail, PCT. All the Trails Illustrated maps are in this collection here. Lots to choose from. There's another, if you click on Feature and Weather Overlays, there's a whole bunch more that are really kind of useful in planning, particularly in planning, but even when you're out on a hike, if you encounter something and you have some questions. Okay, so if you click on Feature and Weather Overlays, it brings you to these, basically to this screen where you can scroll up and down. Some of the ones that I find kind of interesting and useful are these. Okay, slope angle shading we talked about. Snow depth, like if you're planning a hike where there may be some snow and you want to see what the NOAA database shows for snow depth, you can click on that. Wildfires, it has on the map all the historical ones that at least it's in the database, so you can see if you're going to be hiking through an area, or if you are in an area and it's not obvious if it was a wildfire, or if it is a wildfire, well, which one was it? You can kind of see in the screen print there. Public land or private lands, even up on some of the 14ers, like the screen print from Mount Princeton, there are some private property. These are undoubtedly mining claims, but again, there's some really interesting information you can get at your fingertips or from the website. All of these options are the same. You can access them the same way on the website as you can on the app, which is what I showed here. And again, there's some help if you want a little more help on that later. So here's an overview I use those layers more when I'm planning. Here's an overview on how I would use Gaia before, during, and after a hike. Okay, trip planning before the hike. Okay, research. There's a lot of apps out there, a lot of websites out there that have a lot of information that we might want to reference for various potential hikes. 14ers has a lot of information on 13ers as well. Creating a route file where you intend to go. I can get one from a database search in Gaia. I can create a route, which is really a powerful tool here in Gaia. I'm going to show you how to do that shortly. You can create a route elsewhere or download one from elsewhere. Like if I'm going to go on a 14er or 13er, I'm going to go check 14ers.com. So I would download it from another application, and then I would upload it into Gaia. So again, I can get my route files from several different locations. We're going to show how to do some of these steps. And then, okay, I figured out where I'm going to go. I've got my route all planned out. I'm getting maybe the next morning to go out on this hike. Okay, I want to download maps to my app for offline use. If I'm planning to use airplane mode, especially for battery management while hiking, and it's a pretty good idea unless you know you're going to be in an area where there's good, strong cell phone coverage the entire way. And then after I do all this, I do force Gaia to sync the app with the website. Although if you do all this the night before, it shouldn't be a problem, but it's just a little added competence, especially if you're downloading maps because you forgot to do that at home, like when you get to the trailhead. Then it's a really good idea to synchronize before you put it in airplane mode. Okay, during the hike, you're at the trailhead. Let's confirm that the app is correct in where it thinks I am. Let's confirm that the route is on the map, and let's start recording the track, my breadcrumb trail. Okay, then start my battery management steps. Like go into airplane mode, close all the apps that I really don't want running. And then, various points along the way, kind of fun to check the app, to check, okay, where are we? How far are we gone? And any other questions that might come up. Oh, okay, looking at the hike statistics, again, elevation gain, distance, moving speed, so on and so forth. Trail profile, it's an elevation profile. Well, again, we're going to go through how to do all this. I can set waypoints. I can do that from the comfort. I can do that before the hike up here while I'm creating a route. But if I'm on my hike and I'm thinking, hey, it would be helpful to have a waypoint for this, or you'll see some examples of this, and I'll show you how to do that. I can create waypoints while I'm out on my hike, and then I can use Guide Me to guide me to a waypoint if I want to do that. And then at the end of the hike, back at the trailhead, okay, stop recording. You're done creating a breadcrumb trail. And most of us have been on CMC hikes. Everyone likes to say, well, what did you get? What did you get? So as soon as you stop recording and look at the hike statistics you have, and it's kind of interesting to compare it with everyone else while you're still at the trailhead before everyone heads off their separate ways. And then after the hike, later, from the comfort of your home, if you forgot to stop recording the track, it's actually pretty easy to adjust that later. Okay, I will tend to delete the maps that I downloaded for offline use, just again for long-term disk space management. I will download the track file from my records, save it on a computer, on a hard disk somewhere. I might share it with some other folks. And again, it gets things off my phone and I store them someplace better for longer term. It's kind of fun after a hike to look at it in Caltobo. Hey, and then also to import it into Google Earth and get kind of an airplane's or a bird's eye view of where you went. Hike statistics, if you keep a personal log, and then file management, go back and rename or delete files. And we're going to go through how to do all this in nauseating detail on the slide, but we're not going to go through the nauseating details unless you want. So, how to do step by step some of the things we just talked about. Again, I've kind of put this out here because I think Mike is going to take this PowerPoint. I think we'll probably have a PDF version of it that you can access later. So this next set of slides are intended as a reference for you later. Gaia's help is good, but sometimes it's easier just, I don't know, sometimes it's not as good as you hope, or doesn't really, it's not from a user's perspective. Okay, you're planning. You're planning, looking for an idea on for a nearby hike, and I'm out somewhere, and I've got my app. I'm opening it and say, hey, what's near me? Okay, if you come to your main map display over here, if you click on Discover, it just will. I'm not sure what the distance is. I don't normally use this, frankly, but it'll give you a list of popular hikes, and you can filter it. Like if you want easy, moderate, difficult, I can filter it on hiking, or if I want to take my 4x4 out, hike length, I can use the slide bars or elevation gain, and then I can apply that, and it'll winnie the list down a little bit. Like if I want to, okay, I haven't been on Carpenter Peak in a while, and it's a nice day, so if I tap on, okay, you can scroll up and down over here, and if I find one of interest, like let's say Carpenter Peak, tap on it, brings you up to details. And you can scroll up and down and you see more detail on it. If you decide you want to go do that now or tomorrow or whatever, up in the upper right, you see this little download, little arrow pointing down. If I want to do this, if I want to save a route for when I go do this hike, I tap on that and it downloads it directly. I've got a route. Hey, I'm done. I've got my route. I'm ready to go. And after the hike, or if you are done with it, you're not going to use that route file, you can go back to that file and you'll see the little download arrow over here is in green. So just tap on that and it'll ask you, sure you want to remove it, yes or no. You probably, if you're there, you probably want to remove it, so I would say yeah. Okay, so I don't tend to use this as much because I just like to do the planning a little bit more on the big screen. But another way you might use this, you're out and about and you want to use the app to help you search for something. Like you can, okay, here on the main map display over here on the far left, if you click on the little magnifying glass, the search icon. If you know a specific hike or a specific park you want to go look at, you can do this. Click on the search icon, then you might enter, in this little, over here, your search term, like I say, Bar Lake. And then you can filter, do I want anything, like, do I want just information on parks named Bar Lake, trails, hikes, or what? I'm using all, so it basically comes up with a list. Let's say, okay, I want to get more information on the park. I can then click or tap on Bar Lake or Bar Lake State Park, and it brings me to a screen like this. Or if I want to go to the Bar Lake Loop, if that's what I was interested in, and I see it on this list, just tap directly, and it opens up the detail screen for information on that particular hike, and then you have a little download arrow over there, and you can download that. If I want to get more information on the park, it brings me, tap over here, and it brings me to the map display changes to where the park is, and then there's a little info icon saying Bar Lake State Park. I tap on the info icon, it takes me to more detailed, to a screen where there's more information. I can scroll up and down and see what trails are there. If I see one I like, I tap on it, and if I want to do it, you can click on the little download arrow, and if it turns green, that means it's downloaded a route. So again, this is something you can do if you have a specific hike and you want to see if it's in the Gaia GPS database. Okay, more commonly, this is, I'm going to create a route on the website, and it's easier to do that on the website. So we're going to go to the website. Okay, what you see here is kind of what it looks like if you have the free version. This is the default map. Let's say we want to, hey, I haven't been up to Devil's Thumb Lake in a while. So I can come over here, over in the upper left, into this little search box, type it in search box. Let me type in Devil's Thumb Lake. Okay, let's see, Devil's Thumb Lake, Indian Peaks Wilderness, that's the one. Okay, so you can kind of see here's the Devil's Thumb Lake over here. Here's the Hesse trailhead. I've actually already created a route there. But I'm going to show you, we're going to create a route. We're going to do a little bit of a loop. Well, first of all, this is a default. This is what you see with the free version. If I want to, okay, this is a fairly well-established area, lots of official trails. Let's go look at the, let's look at some of the overlays. This is, okay, this is one of the ones that you get with, I think, the $20 membership. It's what you see if you're in CalTopo. It's the Forest Service map, 2016 vintage. And you can see it gives you a little bit more information, you know, green versus for the treat areas. Like I say, this is an area where there's a lot of established trails. So let's click on the Nat Geo Trails Illustrated. If you've been around a while, these maps probably look familiar to you. Okay, so let's say, hey, okay, yeah, I want to create, let me see if I can delete this. We'll do that later. Okay, let's say I want to set up, actually, no, let's do this. Okay, I've got a route set up for Devil's Thumb. Let's go to Skyscraper Reservoir instead. I want to create a route here. Okay, I'm going to start from Hesse Trailhead, and I'm going to come up here. And there's an established trails. You can see the Devil's Thumb Trail and then the Woodland Lake Trail. So to create a route, if I come over here, you see this, it looks like a double, a line with two arrows. It says create route. When I put my cursor over it, I'm going to click on that. Okay, now a little box appears down in the bottom. What kind of a route, what kind of a trip is this going to be? I'm going to click on hiking rather than just leave it there, because if I do this and click on hiking, one of the coolest features of Gaia is the snap to capability. Okay, so we're going to start by just snapping on the map. Okay, I'm going to, we're starting at the Hesse Trailhead, which is here. So I'm going to click there. And then because I'm using snap to, okay, let's, we're going to come over here. See what it did when I clicked there? It drew a line on the trail to that point. Okay, then since we're going to go to the Woodland Lake Trail, I'm going to then come up to this junction. So I'm going to click there, and you can see it drew another line, mostly along what Trails Illustrated thinks is a Devil's Thumb Trail, although it looks like there's a little bit of a deviation there. You know, trails are modified over the years, so that may be what happened. Okay, from here, I'm going to go up to the end of the trail at the reservoir. Okay, in this case, that's as far as we're going. So you can kind of see down here, now we've got an elevation profile. I've got information on that hike I've just in 3 clicks laid out. For instance, to go from the Hesse Trailhead to Skyscraper Reservoir, that's one way. That's 4.7 miles, so it's almost 9.5 mile round trip with 2,272 feet elevation gain. Not bad for 3 clicks. Okay, so let's say that's what I want to do. Unless I want to do that here in the near future, so I'm going to go ahead and I've created a route. And I'm going to save it. I'm going to give it a descriptive name, because you'll find you can have a rather long list of routes. So I'm going to call this Skyscraper Reservoir from Hesse Trailhead. I like I'm going to change the color. There's a lot of green on a lot of these maps. I like to use red because it typically stands out. Okay, I have a route for Skyscraper Reservoir. And if I come up here and click under my name and pull down menu for routes, you will see that it's at the top of the list. It's going to be, by just doing what I did, it's here, it's going to be synced with my app. So that's all I have to do. Okay, let's go back. One of the things that's pretty cool about, especially if you have the paid membership, is, oh, okay, let's do a couple of the overlays. Let's say we're doing that as a snowshoe. Do I have any concerns over avalanche? So if I click, see over here on, oh, let me go back. Okay, back to this. If I click on the layers icon and overlays, okay, this is snowshoe time of year. I want to see if there's any concerns going up this way. So let's click on slope angle shading. Well, it looks like the only area we might be a little concerned about is right through here about the, this is avalanche in a correct slope angle. Are we, I guess the question is, are we close enough for this to maybe be an outflow from a potential avalanche here? So again, just by selecting the slope angle shading, I can see, okay, my main area of concern is here. Okay, how much snow is up there? Remember I showed you earlier, there's a snow depth. Well, let's click on snow depth. Okay, well, there's still a fair bit of snow up there. What is the color telling us? If I click on this, okay, the purple areas, like here, you can kind of see that we're talking 98 to 200 inches, so we're talking several feet of snow. And even in the lighter blue area, like down at the Hesse trailhead, or above, well, darker blue, we're still talking maybe 4 to 6 feet of snow, maybe 2 to 3 to 4, several feet of snow still. So I'm going to remove that later. So you can kind of see what kind of information I can get in planning one of these things. The slope shading I thought was in the premium, but we can check on that in a little bit. Okay, another thing that's really kind of cool about having all the map databases is they have 14ers. So let's say, hey, I haven't been to, let's see, I haven't been down here in a while, or Missouri Mountain. I'm going to go do a search. Okay, here's Missouri Mountain Collegiate Peaks. Let's click on that. Okay, and you can see, because I'm using the Nat Geo 14ers maps, it's got the trail up to Missouri Mountain, or for that matter, Belford and Oxford, from the trailhead on Missouri Gulch. So I can, okay, so it's a well-trodden path. I can click here. I want to create a route, so I'll have something to follow when I'm on the trail. Okay, start at the trailhead. I usually like to click at junctions. See, it snaps to. Okay, so just with 3 clicks, I can see that this route has about a little over 5 miles one way, 4,400 foot elevation gain. And again, I can check the slope angle shading. You really don't want to do this right now because of the right through here where you're going up to the ridge. But later in the year. One other thing I'm going to show you with this feature is, let's say you're going to an area where we don't have established trails. Let's go to Paiute Peak and the Indian Peaks. Well, I should have saved this before I did that, but okay, I just did. Let me give it a title. This will be Missouri Mountain. Okay, it's done. It's saved. Okay, let's go to Paiute Peak. I'm going to show you what it does when I'm running a little short on time. I better go. But basically, it'll snap to if there's a trail. If I then extend my clicks off where there's no trail, it's basically straight line. Okay. We just did all this. Okay, if I want to upload a route from another source, that's easy to do. Go to the website. Come here to pick on your name for the drop-down menu. Click on Upload. Select a file. Select it from. Okay, let's say we want to upload a track to a route to the Pettingill Peak via the South Slopes. Click on that. Upload. Okay, it's going to upload. Let's go back to it. And then after I upload it, I usually like to go back on the app and make sure it's there. And if you have trouble, if you're not sure it's there, because it won't be searchable for based on the name of the file. It's from metadata. You can select on My Profile, and it'll show you a list of recent uploads. Like if I click on this, click on My Profile, it didn't upload that one. We can work on that later. Okay. Okay, how to upload, how to sync your phone. You know, if you're doing something at the trailhead, especially, and then you want to, before you put it in airplane mode, force a sync. Go in your map screen, click on Settings, Account, Last Sync. Tap on that, it'll sync. Okay, and then to download maps, so I'm not relegated to using low definition maps. Go back to the map display. Click on, move the map to the area where you want to download the maps for offline use, like I'm showing here. Click on the plus, click on Download Maps. You'll get a screen like this. Basically, what you want to do is drag the dots at the corners so that your entire route is within that colored area. And then click on Save. Give it a descriptive name. Click on Save, and then after the hike, I go in and delete those, again, for long-term file management. Okay, we're at the trailhead. Ready to go. Open the app. Tap on the crosshairs because to center the map on where you are. Okay, when I look at this, yep, that's where I am. I've got my route ready to go. So click on Record, the toggle. And when it does that, it turns into a timer. So that tells me that I'm actively recording. You're good to go. Now, tip from several of us who use this on hikes: when you're done with looking at the app and you're about to put the phone in your pocket, before you do that, like I say over here, remove Gaia from your active display. Either press the home button on your phone, or however you do it on yours, or lock your phone before you put it away. Because if you don't do this, when you're handling your phone to put it in your pocket, you may inadvertently touch this toggle and stop recording. You don't want to do that. So again, before you put it away, lock your screen, or at least take the app off of your active display. Battery management. These apps use a lot of energy. It can be a problem on a long day. If you've got a battery that's maybe not in good condition anymore, if it's cold, if you're out of cell phone coverage. Okay, here's the list of things to do. Put your phone in airplane mode. Especially if you're going to be in an area with cell, I just do it automatically. Put it in airplane mode. And then I close all the apps running in the background. A lot of those can chew up a lot of energy, with the location services and whatnot. So just close any apps you're not going to be using. If it's cold, keep your phone warm in an inside jacket pocket. That can have a huge, cold temperatures can have a huge impact on your battery capacity. And then somebody asked about this for longer day hikes, or even half-day hikes, frankly. I always carry a little portable battery pack like this one with me and a cable to connect it to my phone. This one's 4 ounces, and it's been plenty for even longer day hikes. And then there's some more information out there. Map modes, this little icon up here, if I tap on it once, it centers the map on my current location. I can get out of that by just simply moving with my fingers, moving the map. If I tap on it again, it goes into course up mode, which will be like in Waze, where your current location's in the middle of the map with your direction of travel pointing up, instead of true north like most you are probably going to end up using. So basically it's a toggle. You can toggle through the 3 map displays. Okay, you're on a hike. You want to see what data you've got. What have you done so far? So here's my map display. If I tap on trip, well, because I'm recording a track, shows you, okay, in this case, I've been 1.7 miles. I've done 127 feet, 2.2 moving speed. It even tells you the GPS accuracy. It tells you sundown or sunrise and sunset times, and elevation profiles, speed profiles. A lot of really good information with just tapping on trip. Then to go back to the map, tap on map. It takes you back there. If you're not tracking and you tap on trip, it gives you just a little bit of information, but sunrise, sunset, and your GPS accuracy. Okay, during a hike, I want to add a waypoint. I get my current location, someplace I might want to come back to, for instance. Here's my map screen. You can see what my current location. I tap on the little plus icon, and then add waypoint, my location. And then I tap on that, and then I just give it a descriptive name and tap on save. Or if I want to take a picture, I can do that. If I want to add a waypoint, but not my current location, like let's say I'm off trail and I'm going over to these lakes, what I can do is scroll the map so that the new location for the waypoint is on the map. Tap on the plus, tap on add waypoint, not add waypoint my location, but add waypoint. It's going to add a waypoint icon in the center of the screen. Drag it with your finger over to where you want it. Click on save, give it a name. And waypoints are saved and managed separately. Okay, during a hike, we're running low on time, let's go past this, but you can take pictures. And it creates waypoints of each of these pictures. Okay, during a hike, if I'm creating a waypoint because I want to go there, I can click on the waypoint, tap on it on the map screen, click on the little info icon. It pulls up the waypoint information on that particular waypoint. If I then tap on the action menu, I can come down here and select Guide Me. Here's my current location. Now what shows up when I click on Guide Me, okay, what's the compass direction to that waypoint? How far is it? And distance, okay, so the compass bearing, distance to the waypoint, and the time to the waypoint, if it has enough information to calculate that. And then here's your compass bearing, at least where the direction the phone's pointing. As you begin to move, you can see it creates a breadcrumb, I'm recording, and then it adjusts. Like in this case, you can see that I've turned to where my direction of travel, my compass bearing, and this are all about the same, but just shy of 200 feet in about a minute, a little over a minute and a half to get there. Useful if you're in the trees and trying to find someplace. Like, okay, during a hike, I can do the same thing by tapping on the route on the map. Brings up information about what that route is. Click on the information icon, it takes me to the detail screen, or I can get there that way, but it's easier doing this. Tap on the action menu, just like you saw on the previous slide. Click on Guide Me. Okay, now it's telling me, okay, because I'm on a route, it's telling me direction I need to go right now, and distance and time to the end of the route. And you can kind of see, here's our track so far, here's where we are, here's where we're going. And if I want to reverse direction, click on this. If I want to stop Guide Me, I tap on the X. What happens if you're off route? If you stray off route, what does it look like? Well, okay, here's my track in purple. My route where I want to go is in light blue. And now if I activate Guide Me, you'll see, okay, my direction of travel is kind of northeast, but what it's saying is, hey buddy, you're off trail. The orange line shows up, guidance on where I need to go, shortest direction to get back to the route, the blue line. And then the compass direction also tells me which way I need to go from the compass point. In this case, the default is true north. And then plus I can turn and basically line up my direction of travel and the compass here with this. and just be careful when you're using this on a route. This is the distance and time to the end of the route, not to the closest point on the route. And it does use battery, so you don't want to use this unless you're really wanting to. Okay, you're back, you're done. You're back at the trailhead. Stop recording the track. Okay, here's the map display. See, it's been about 2 hours. So tap on that, tap on the record toggle to stop recording. And I know I've been recording because it's showing the timer. So when I tap on the toggle, it brings me to this. If I want to save the track, I'll tap on Finish Track, give it a descriptive name, and then here's some information from the hike I'm just now saving and finishing. And then if you click on this little arrow to the right, it brings you to a screen that you can scroll up and down and see a lot more information on the hike you just finished. Yeah, and you can, right, Robbie, you can change the magnetic in the settings, but I tend to prefer just true north. Okay, you know, when you get back to the trailhead, a lot of times everyone's talking, comparing notes, and it's like, oh, heck, I forgot to stop the track recording. Okay, so as soon as you realize you can save and crop the track, this is what you do if you forgot to stop recording at the trailhead. Okay, as soon as you realize, uh-oh, I forgot, immediately, as soon as you can, safely, go back to Gaia, open the map display, and if you're still recording, you'll see the timer still incrementing. Tap on that, that's the record toggle, so tap on that to stop recording. Then finish track, give it a name, like forgot to stop recording, and then save. So do that as soon as you can, ASAP. Then later, from the comfort of microbrewery or home, and come back and crop the track later. Okay, again, go into Gaia, the app, go into, tap on saved, tap the track from the list of saved tracks. It'll usually be since the one you just finished, it'll probably be at the top of the list. So select it and tap on the pencil icon, tap on crop track, and you come over here and you'll see at the bottom 2 little sliders or toggles. And in this case, it's the end of the track I'm wanting to adjust. You know, here's where I stopped it, and here's the trailhead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this end toggle or slide over until the line comes back to the trailhead. And then you can use the little scissor icon to clip it, and it saves it. You can export the track from Gaia, like if somebody wants you to email it to them, you go into the main map, save, pick the track from the list, it'll be the top, export. This is from the iPhone. I don't know how to do it on I don't have an Android. Click on a GPX or KML, GPX common, and you can send it via email or airdrop it or whatever. What I typically will do is when I get home, I'll export it from the website. And the way you can do that, I know I'm running late, we're getting close. I can come in here to the to the website, click on my name for the drop-down menu, click on the track, because this is a track I just saved. Okay, here's one from a bike ride I did today. Let's say I want to download that, so I tapped on that. And here, a little download data, tap on that, GPX, and save it, and give it a name, just like you do any other files that you may be doing on your computer. If I want to go to Google Earth, I can click on KML, and then click on Open, and it'll go and open Google Earth. But this is not an interesting one, but just if you do it that way, it automatically opens up Google Earth, and it'll take you to your what you were just looking at. And get out of that. Let's go back. So okay, so I've just downloaded it, that track file that I just created, and I can email it. I can send it to Jeff Stevens for the tracks database. Okay, one of the things that's kind of interesting is if you record tracks on the same phone with different apps, how different the data can be. Like the same hike on Cotrex, Gaia, and AllTrails in my Garmin. Like if you look at the distances, even on a fairly short hike like this, they're pretty different. And the elevation gains are hugely different. And then if you import tracks from those into CalTopo, CalTopo treats them, they're all pretty relatively consistent, the tracks, if I'm looking at them in CalTopo. So I think the difference is in how the apps, what they do with the track file. There's a lot of filtering in Gaia. That's an issue on Gaia. File management, I'm done with my, Mike, are people interested? Should I continue? We're getting pretty much to the case studies, to the examples from the hikes.
Yeah, why don't we ask some questions for folks, and then if anybody else wants to see what you have left, maybe we can add it on. I don't know how much you have left, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or.
Okay, I could barely hear you.
So I'm just saying maybe we should go to the chat box and look at some of the questions that folks have.
Yeah.
First.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at some of the comment. The database of tracks. Jeff Stevens is the steward of that for CMC. He can talk about that next week. I always, before I leave home, I always make sure I've got the maps downloaded. I've got the route on the map. It does sync automatically, but again, I'm a skeptic. I want to make sure, so that's why I always go open up the website, look at the map, and find it and make sure it's there. You can change the magnetic settings. If you have a compass true, you don't need to worry about declination. That's what I do. I just find it easier with the default, which is true north, and then I have my compass set with the declination. So my compass will then effectively be giving me true north as well, with the declination adjusted. I'm not sure because I don't have an Android, so I can't answer this. Although that's why I put the links to what the Android, how do I do this versus as well as the iOS. If I build a route with slope angle and all that, I typically, when you save the route, you just save the route. So you want to be able to access the different map and different layers and overlays from your app as well. But when you save it, you're just saving the route. Yeah, slope shading is only in the premium version. I don't normally check the weather while I'm on a hike. I typically will check it before and even like when I get to the trailhead. But once you're on the hike, I'm typically looking at what's actually happening, and I don't download that to my phone. I'm not sure how recent the satellite images are. I got the slope angle shown on Gaia. Okay. From the website, but it works the same way on your phone. Tell you what, you're going to want this on your phone probably. Let me go back to here. Okay, first of all, what I need to do is make sure it's on my list of maps and overlays. So from the map display, I come to click on the layers. This is to add the slope shading. I click on layers and click on add map layers, feature and weather overlays, scroll up and down until I find slope angle shading. If I tap on that, it'll then bring it to my active, it'll bring it over here and make it active on the website. I go back to the map. Create on the layer. What I'm going to do is, just for the sake of answering that question, I'm going to remove that layer. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to go get slope angle shading from the database. So if I click on the layers, if I come and click on add map layers, feature and weather overlays, kind of like I did on that app, on the app, and I scroll down and I see slope angle shading. So if I want to add it, I just click on the plus. It shows up, and then I can come back to my map layers over here on the left, and then I can, for instance, if I click on this, because I don't want it on my overlay right now, it just moves it down to hidden layers from visible layers, and it works the same way in the app. Let's see where the going back to the chat. To be on the app, not a laptop. Okay.
I think, Jim, you probably answered most of them.
I'm sorry?
I think you probably answered most of them, at least most that I could see.
Okay, let me go down to some of the examples. Actually, let me do this. Let me go to the, since people might not want to spend much more time, I'm going to go to the closing thoughts, and then I'll come back to the real life examples.
That sounds like a good plan.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the closing thoughts first. Okay. Again, Gaia is most effectively used if you have a route to follow. It can be a previously recorded track or a route that you created, but you have a route, your intended route that you want to follow, and that you're recording a track so you have a trail, a breadcrumb trail of where you've been. It should never be your sole source. Gaia should never be, or any app like this, should never be your sole source of information. Phones can get lost or run out of battery. Map apps are, okay, always have your compass and a map hard copy with you. Don't blindly follow a route. Use your judgment. Trails can be rerouted. You saw some of that when we were doing the drawing for that on the Devil's Thumb Trail. I've seen that on open spaces. Often trails will be rerouted, and some of the routes may not reflect the most recent routing of a trail. So if you see a trail go one way, it may just be that. Use your judgment. Maintain good situational awareness. Frequently check around for the landmarks that we talked about for orienteering, weather, and what's behind you, especially for an out and back. And again, just because you planned this route, it doesn't mean you should go there. Consider the trail, the weather, avalanche conditions, your equipment. Okay, it asks, is it safe for me to go there? Is it within my capabilities? You know, again, just because you've got it on your app doesn't mean you should go there. Okay, let's go back to some of these examples. These are real life examples that have come up in recent hikes. Okay, this is just the accuracy of the GPS. Let's go beyond that. Okay, here's an example from about 2 months ago on a snowshoe trip. We were up in the Indian Peaks and looking to the west, saying, hey, can we go this way? This is kind of cool. Can we go that way? Here's what's on my map display. Here's our current location. Here we're looking west. Well, I'm looking west here, and I see Rogers Pass Lake. So do I want to go there? Okay, and my intended route is up to the next shelf to Heart Lake. So I really don't want to cut across this. So, well, no, I don't want to go there. This is a lake, not a meadow. So to continue to our destination at Heart Lake, let's stay to the north side of this open area, because that's a lake, as we head more to the northwest. Okay, here we're bushwhacking through the trees. We want to go to these lakes, mud lakes, which are over here on the far right side of this screen over here. Okay, we've just left the trail. We're in the trees, can't see any landmarks. Did we leave the trail in the right place? And then what's our plan to get to the lakes? Okay, we are here. You can see the route, the darker blue line. You see the breadcrumb trail in the lighter blue, that's our track. So did we leave? We are on our route. So did we leave the trail in the right place? Yes. What's our plan to get to Mud Lakes? Well, the lakes are about over to the east of us. So we can continue heading east about a mile if I use the scale down here. Or since we have a waypoint set up over by the lakes over here, tap on that and use Guide Me. And it'll basically, I can follow the, I'll let Guide Me take me to where the clearing is where the lakes are. Here's another example where a lot of people have gotten lost. This is in Nevada. Okay, we've summited, we're heading down the ridge. This is what we're looking at. Which way do we want to go? To the right, to the left? This is what's on my map display. And what I've done here, I like to do this at a lot of junctions. I like to rotate, if I'm at a junction and I'm not sure, like here, I'm getting close. What I like to do is just rotate with my fingers the map so that up is the direction I'm going. So and that's what I've done here. So you can kind of see the direction of travel. We're going up. I've got my route, the dark blue, and I've got my actual track from when we went up and we're heading down. So well, when I come to this ridge junction, which way do I want to go? To the left, because my route veers to the left up here. Another example. This doesn't look right. Are we off course? Well, here's our map display on Gaia. You can kind of see the route, the intended routes in purple. Our actual track is in the red. We're here. Okay, we've left our track. We've left our route. We're about maybe not quite 500 feet off. So are we off course? Yes, we're off course. Turn around. Basically, you can use the arrow in the direction it's pointing to route, and you can follow your breadcrumb trail to get back to your intended route. Or you can use Guide Me. Okay, the national forests trails are not always marked well. Here's an example where, okay, we know we're coming up to a trail junction somewhere. We want to turn right. I see, looking to the right from where we are, I see this. It just says trail. Is this our junction? Do we turn right here? I look at my map. I've got the Nat Geo Trails Illustrated map. Again, I rotated it so that the direction we're going is up. Okay, I see one route, one trail over here, slightly veering to the left, another trail kind of veering straight, slightly to the right, and my route, my intended route in red says I want to stay to the right. So since this is what we see looking to the right and our current location says we're about where the trail junction is, yeah, let's turn right here. Gaia says that we're at a trail junction and our intended route is to the right. We're going down this peak. We came up a couloir. There's that flat area just ahead of us where we want to leave the ridge, because we do want to head down the same couloir we took up to get up here. This is what I've got on my map display. Here's my current location. You see my route in red, my breadcrumb trail. I'm cheating a little bit because this is also showing how way we went down. We're here. This is looking straight ahead. You can kind of see that, well, it does look like if we go up another maybe 200 feet, we're going to want to go to the southeast, to the left, which seems to coincide with maybe where this is. So, okay, maybe, but let's go down to the flat area and check again. And in situations like that, actually the best practice is to mark the point where you gained the ridge with the colored flagging tape, and then to collect the flagging tape on the way down. That eliminates any guesswork. So which way do we go? To the left. That's all I have. Let's see,
thanks, Jim. So as you mentioned before, we'll be able to make this PDF available, and we're recording this video as we speak, so that will also go onto our website in a couple of days, and I will send out an email to everybody who was participating today, and with a link so you know when that is online, and you can take a look at the PDF and the video again if you'd like. So with that, if there's no additional questions, I'd say thank you so much, Jim. This was great. I haven't been using Gaia at all, so this is super useful for me, but I think it's also useful for folks who have been using it for a bit to see what the capabilities are and the functionalities and how it compares to other apps that are around. So thanks so much again, Jim, for doing this.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, that's it. Have a good night. See you hopefully next Monday when we talk about AllTrails.